All right, let's take another pass at binge eating. So in one of my first videos, I explained that there's kind of two reasons I see binge eating as an issue, and I actually struggled with both of these reasons. One, I had done very restrictive diets, had eaten very little, and so the natural swing back to that is you overconsume, right? So if I'm eating 1,000 calories a day, I am going to more than likely binge after so many days of that extreme restriction. That's just kind of a biological response to these restrictive ways of eating. And then there is the emotional side, right? I don't know how to communicate my thoughts and feelings. I struggle with feeling bored. I struggle with feeling any unpleasant feelings, and thus I binge to basically self-soothe, to take those feelings away, even if it's just for 30 minutes or an hour. So today what we're going to talk about is, what about those people who really have their emotional house in order? They do communicate well. They maybe are already going to therapy. They know what they need. They fulfill their emotional bucket. But maybe they've been, doing some seriously restrictive dieting, and they've gone through the whole gamut of carbs are bad, certain fats are bad, certain foods are toxic or whatever, and they've got all these food rules, very restrictive ways of thinking about food, and really all of the binge eating is kind of stemming from that more restrictive eating behavior. One of the things I have seen work really well with somebody that's in that bucket is to switch to eating at maintenance calories. Even if you have weight to lose. Yes, even if you have weight to lose, because if you don't stop binge eating, more than likely the weight you are today will only increase. I would lose weight and then I would gain it back and more with my binge eating behaviors. So the number one move for somebody who is carrying around extra weight, who does struggle with binge eating, is learning how to stop binge eating first and foremost before you worry about losing any weight. Because ultimately, as long as you're binging, you're probably undoing the calorie deficit you are hitting on certain days. So for you, step one would be go to maintenance calories. There's tons of calorie calculators out there. Your Fitbit devices, Garmin's, all that are going to give you a rough estimate of what your maintenance calories are. Actually try focusing on eating to maintenance, not at a deficit. Learning what that feels like, that sensation of contentment with food, eating enough, not being hungry, not being overly stuffed like you feel when you binge eat either. This is a totally different feeling altogether. Could you potentially still have binging while you're doing this? Absolutely. Will it start to decrease? 9 times out of 10, yes. I have seen a lot of my coaching clients do this and they're shocked. They're like, I'm not tempted to binge. I'm not feeling restricted. I'm having the treats. I'm having the things, right? And what you start to see is a more stable, neutral relationship with food. You start to kind of just become a little bit more mellow. And usually a good 4 to 6 weeks of this can really help somebody who's in that throes of, I'm restricting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday really hard, and then I'm binging Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday really hard, right? It's that pendulum swinging. So what we want to think about is, if you're binging from restriction, food rules, and being overly rigid with what you eat, changing that and saying, okay, I don't want to just say screw everything and eat anything I want, but I do want to start to make better peace with food. I want to start to find a more neutral place, and a place from which I can hold my weight steady and learn how to not binge eat and how to eat normally. Again, this is usually good for somebody who's been a long-term dieter and they've only known restriction and overconsumption from their binge eating. They don't know that middle ground, and that's what we want to start to develop. And then if you deal with emotional stuff, and that's what your binge eating is coming from, this can help too. It can help alleviate some of the pressure of feeling like you're going to need to restrict. But ultimately that work is a lot more deep, and we'll talk about that in another video. But this is just geared toward the person who has been on extreme restriction, binge eating to compensate, and not really just letting go of weight loss for a little bit, focusing on weight maintenance, learning to eat at maintenance calories, to cease the binging and learn another way, so that way when you do decide to take a calorie deficit, maybe you only take a 10% deficit off maintenance or something to that effect, and it's a much smaller cut to where you don't feel this desire to binge. Again, just going to mention, not a doctor, nurse, medical professional, or eating therapist, but I have seen this work firsthand for people. I figured I'd share these tips here to help you. I know what a monkey binge eating is on your back, and I'd love to see you guys get free of it. If these videos are helping you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Help spread this information, because I know this really plagued me for a long time in my life, and I want to be able to help as many people with this content. So please feel free to share it, spread the news, and let me know how I can better help you. If this is something that is helping you, let me know. If you have a specific question you want me to cover, let me know. I'm here to help. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.